Aloha. Welcome to Abe Lee Seminar Sessions. Today, we're going to talk about an acronym called SRPDS. So if you know what that means, you know real estate. But SRPDS stands for Seller's Real Property Disclosure Statement. A law passed recently in Hawaii, actually not recent, but I think in 1997 or about thereabouts, where the law said that anybody that sells a residential property, a house or a condominium, 1 to 4 units, they have to fill out a disclosure statement. There's no set form, but they have to fill out a disclosure statement that are under the knowledge or control of the seller. And so these disclosure statements must be made within 10 days after a contract has gone into escrow. So if you have an offer that's accepted from the buyer to the seller, that the seller has 10 calendar days to fill out this form and give it to the buyer. The buyer has 15 calendar days to look at the SRPDS and either accept it or cancel the contract if he doesn't like what he sees in the contract. So the 10 days is from the seller to the buyer, 15 days is from the buyer to the seller. If the 15 days pass and the buyer has not said, I'm canceling in writing, then he has waived his right to cancel the contract. So if he is going to cancel, he has to do it within the 15 calendar days to cancel the contract. It must be in writing. So what kind of stuff does a seller have to disclose? It says anything that is under his knowledge or control. So if he knows that something's wrong with the house, then he has to disclose it. Example would be, the house is 30 years old, and there's some things in the house that don't quite work completely well. The owner knows that, but the buyer's not going to know it. But if you do know, you have to disclose. So that's within the knowledge or control of the seller. The other condition is that what you're looking at as a buyer has to be accessible and within view. In other words, you can see it. It's not like you put on your helmet or put on your overcoat and elbow pads and go under the house with a flashlight and take a look. Okay, it has to be readily accessible and visible. That you have to disclose if the seller knows something's wrong with the house. They also have to disclose if the property is in a flood area and if it's near military installation, where there might be jets, helicopters, and big noise coming in and out of that military base or their Air Force base. And it also has to show if it's near an airport. And is there going to be noise from the planes landing and taking off? And the other is the property in a flood or tsunami area? So you got flood, military, airport, and tsunami. You have to disclose if a property is in that area. If you look at Ewa Beach, it fits all 4: flood, military, airport, tsunami. All right? So that's the kind of stuff that you have to disclose. And the SRPDS that is put out by the Hawaii Association of Realtors is a 5-page document. And it has, I don't know how many hundreds of questions or items. And the seller has to disclose everything they know about the property. And so if they know, they have to disclose. If they know and don't disclose, then the seller could be held liable to repair the damages that was caused by non-disclosure of material fact. And some people say, well, if the seller didn't disclose and I closed, then I want him to take the property back. That's not going to happen because you closed already and the buyer's already got a loan and the seller's got the money and it's long gone. But if the buyer finds out before you closing something that the seller did not disclose, then they can cancel up to the day before closing by noon if they find material information that was not disclosed by the seller. So this disclosure statement is critically important, and it's only for residential properties, 1 to 4 houses or condos or apartments, and it's not for vacant land unless you know that vacant land, there's something wrong with the property, and timeshare is not included. And if you're selling to a relative or related party, or you're buying the fee interest in a leasehold property, disclosures are not recommended or required. So hopefully you know a little bit more about what we call the SRPDS, Seller's Real Property Disclosure Statement. And it is a way to have the seller be straight about some things that could be wrong with the property that the buyer should know. And that's called material information that could affect the value to a reasonable person had they known about the defects or about the shortcomings. Now, sometimes the buyers go, I can fix that, no worry. The termite damage, no problem, okay? Or, hey, if there's the roof that's leaking, I got a roofer friend. So they might say, I'm okay, but you need to disclose it. So hopefully the sellers are honest and the buyers are aware of the limitations and requirements from a time limit point of view about the 10 days and 15 days. Aloha. Thank you.